She is a silent, smiling woman. I know, exotic, right? Wait, you ain't with dangerous? Maybe careful. Watch your step around her. Her silence is a quiet form of resistance. While the world rushed and shouted, she stood still, steady as a mountain clothed in mist. From a young age, she knew that the world was not too kind to her voice. When she dreamed out loud, others laughed and dismissed it. You're too much. Some cautioned her, be realistic. Others emphasized. This woman has known the test of flames. Life has placed her in furnaces hotter than she thought she could endure. Loss wrapped around her and tried to suffocate her with smoke. There are nights she cried herself to sleep, her body trembling from exhaustion, her heart begged for relief. Yet she carried silence like an armor, because most often many misunderstood her heart. Silence gave her the space to listen more to the lessons hidden in the storms of her life. Victory begins with restraint. The ability to sit in silence until the right moment calls for sound. This is where she meets Teacher Silence. Teacher Silence teaches her patience. She doesn't rush. She teaches you clarity. She teaches you to listen. Process your life instead of just leaving it on autopilot. Silence does not mean she would never speak. It meant she would not speak until her words would land with purpose. Her silence is a raw of her discipline. It comes from someone who knows when to use her voice. She does not need to prove herself. She does not compete for attention. Yet people glance her way, sensing something unspoken about her. Her silence carries weight. It pierces arrogancy and disarms ignorance. She speaks deeply. Each word is deliberate. When she was doubted, she did not argue endlessly to prove her worth. She let silence walk with her until she became undeniable proof of who she is. Her voice carries weight, sharpened by the patience of waiting. She listens deeply to the small details of life. The faint rustles of leaves, the distant laughter of strangers, the different sounds made by the rain. When the rain hits the leaves, then when the rain hits the roofs. She's a sanctuary to broken souls, a place where others can take a sigh, smile and forget what's going on. She's simply herself. You can't simply exist without an apology. Learn the sweet luxury of setting your own pace. If you want to spend an entire evening cooking, you can. You can work throughout the night if your creativity demands it. You can spend a whole Saturday lost in a hobby, guilty-free. You have a right to live without constant compromise. Unedited, unmasked, unmeasured. She is fluid. driven by curiosity, not chained by obligation, very experimental, pivoting on her own command. She lives at the speed of her own becoming. She does not wait for the world to catch up. She moves forward on her own pace. And those who want to walk with her, well, you have to keep up. She moves with dignity, letting her silence speak in ways words couldn't. Oh, my little dreamer, fragile, yet unbreakable. She carries a fire within, no longer fearing its power. Her silence has become her crown. Her hands told a story long before her lips ever could. They were not too short to touch the ground. They are not hands of idleness, not of luxury. They are those of labor marked by sacrifice, yet sanctified by love. They are altars of healing. They speak a language of giving. How could they prepare meals out of almost nothing, turning a handful of ingredients into nourishment of both body and soul? When a child cries, they could cradle it, a touch stronger than medicine. When the world became cruel, her hands became shelter. What makes her hands sacred is not what they do, but how they do it. Now, her love is deeper, her forgiveness wiser, her hope more grounded. She's a wild, messy, unpredictable thing. Kalave. Shedding layers of herself without an apology. She has evolved in ways she has evolved in ways that feel dangerous to those who don't understand transformation. She doesn't need to explain the space in between. She walks with a determined stride of one protected by the divine. She no longer looks for acceptance in someone else's eyes, but in the Lord. Her devotion is a living sacrifice to fulfill her divine mission. There are unkind things said of her in the cheaper writings of today. But when I look at her, she is motherly, matronly, and has a graceful appeal. Beauty, sweetness, intelligence. How does she juggle all these roles and still not lose her childlikeness? Wow. Man's intellect is for speculation and invention. His energy is for war and conquest. Women's intellect is for sweet ordering, arrangement, and decision. Her energy is not for battle, but for rule. Although matrimony and motherhood are the first conditions of a woman and the only conditions that poets sing about, still the conditions where she's doing her largest, noblest work. Yet her sphere is larger than that, with her finer powers of observation, aided by her innate love of beauty. She was created to be your helper. So protect her. Don't be startled by her wings. She's not a jailer. She's a sanctuary. A woman who knows her worth is one who can build a legacy. She requires depth, which most people are too lazy to cultivate. She's looking for a king who has already submitted to the King of Kings. Yes, She is a silent, smiling woman, a queen. That, yes, she's a queen. The kind that knows her crown isn't on her head, but in her soul. My little dreamer. You've been listening to May Kirabo, a visual storyteller with Obulamo Podcast. For free access to all May's conversations, subscribe to May Kirabo YouTube channel. May and Obulamo Podcast reserve all copyright protection under applicable law.